Hey everyone, this is Nick from Mecha Warehouse, and today we're back with weekly update number 137. Let's jump right into it with week in review. This is where I talk about what's been going on, things that are coming up, stuff like that. I guess first off, back in the warehouse, catching up this week after being out sick last week. Thankfully, it wasn't too far behind, at least personally, because I was able to get a lot of stuff done while I was home over the last week. But it's good to be back and not be sick. All that said, this week into next week and maybe the week after, I think we're expecting some very, very busy weeks around here. Huge uptick on some incoming. I think we've got 2 large Kotobukiya shipments arriving end of this week, early next week, and then there's a 3rd that's about to ship as well. I think we have another big shipment from another distributor expected to be going any day now. Disbay is supposed to be arriving on Friday, hopefully to restock next Friday, because it's going to be a huge effort to check all of that in. It's just a ton of items, and usually one of our more challenging check-ins. And I think we've got a bunch of other stuff that's about to be shipping as well. We got word on some stuff hitting at some of our distributors that should be on its way out pretty soon. And so expect things to get busy around here. Hopefully it won't impact the rate at which we can ship orders out too badly, but I think it might a little bit, because we're going to split resources for all the check-in for all these shipments coming in, as well as a lot of these are going to generate a ton of pre-orders that need to get shipped out, which is going to add to the order outflow that we have to worry about. It'll be exciting, a lot of stuff to do, but it's definitely going to be a busy 2 to 3 weeks around here, I think. In other news, earlier this week we put out a redacted clarifications video, so if you're in that contest, definitely go take a look. That answers hopefully everybody's questions about, is this allowed, is that allowed, things like that. Again, if you're in that contest or interested in that contest, definitely go check out that video as well. So the one other thing I have to talk about during week in review today is what we were formerly calling the open house. We've formally changed the name, and that is the Northeast Mecha Modeling Expo and competition that we'll be hosting here at Mecha Warehouse. Kind of taking the place of the quote-unquote open house before. It's going to be so much more than an open house, so we thought changing the name and getting more details around that would, giving a better connotation to what it actually is, would make a lot of sense. The central thing, the biggest thing I think, is going to be the competition itself, which is going to be, kind of like an IPMS show. We're planning on using the SCGMC rule set, which is a point-based system. There's 3 criteria that are evaluated. Constructions, that's like stuff that's in the plastic, nub removal, seam line removal, mold lines, all that kind of stuff. Finish, which is your paint, your decals, everything that goes on the plastic, and then the technical modification criteria, which is essentially like above and beyond extra points for things like doing decals or doing really good weathering, or something else that's kind of above and beyond the normal that can kind of give you extra points, so to speak, adding up to a total of 50 points. I've been having some really good discussions over the last few weeks with Old School Gunpla, or George, aka Old School Gunpla, and Nickel Models, both for helping out a lot on defining how the judging is going to work, and will hopefully both be judges for the event itself. And I'm really looking forward to how the competition side of things is fleshing out so far. We're expecting to have a lot of other cool things too, like a kids make and take, with simple kits for the kids to build. We're hoping to do a few seminars. I've been talking to Plomo LAB about doing a seminar that will likely be a scribing and scratch building seminar, which will be really interesting. There'll be some seats for people to actually sit in and try what's being taught, and being provided tools and materials and stuff like that, as well as the option to kind of just watch as well. We're looking at doing a try it table, where we'll have tools from various manufacturers so people can get their hands on things and try things out and play with them before, maybe wanting to make a purchase at some point. And there's a lot of other ideas that are still swirling around and have been less formally finalized at this point, but there's going to be a lot of good stuff around the event overall. So that's Sunday, August 13th. There'll be a link down in the description to the page where all the info about that is going to be. I think currently it's just a save the date, but we'll be publishing contest rules and categories and other details, frequently, probably every week between now and the event. So stay tuned for more details as they become available. With that said, though, let's move on to pre-orders. There only one new pre-order, so to speak, this week, and that's actually an early bird, and that's the Full Mechanics aerial. We just got word earlier this week about, from two of our distributors actually, that they received confirmations from Bandai for some, I think, June or July production stuff. A few things are coming early, I guess. But Full Mechanics aerials, we know, are on their way in the next couple of weeks. So we put up the early bird for them. So if you want one, definitely jump on that earlier rather than later. We've been shifting our percentage from 50-50 to a little bit higher on the early birds and pre-orders, just based on how many things actually come in, and to help people, lock those in ahead of time. So when it comes down to the actual restock, if you have an early bird, place an early bird order or pre-order, you might be slightly less likely to be able to get it. We still definitely have stock available and held aside for restock day. But if we get a lot of damage, that's where all the damaged stuff comes out of and stuff like that. So definitely jump on that sooner rather than later. On the same note, I will mention that I think we're coming up on the last week of ordering for the June mystery box. The theme for that is flight. I think June 15th is the deadline, or until we sell out. We definitely have a few left, so I would jump on those as well. They might sell out before the end of the deadline, and then they'll be shipping out mid-June as well. That's it for pre-orders. Let's move on to team picks. So this is where some of the members of the team here talk about builds they've done recently. Let's go check that out. Kit I brought in, or is actually already in the warehouse, is the MG Heavy Arms. Always been a big fan of the Heavy Arms design since seeing Gundam Wing at the very first place. So it was one of the first kits I built getting into the hobby in the first place. You can't go wrong with a big Gatling gun. And the missiles and everything in the shoulders, etc., are really cool and actually lend themselves to custom painting for detail as well pretty easily because of the part separation. Only issue I've had with the kit is the ammo belt basically going from the ammo canister on the back. It does have a tendency to fall out of time, so be prepared to maybe super glue it, but it's totally worth whatever it takes to get over that because it's such a great kit otherwise.
Okay, so the kit that I brought in this week was the Shining Gundam. It's like a super old kit. I think it actually is as old, if not older than me. I might have to fact check that. But super old kit. It was kind of cool looking back on the designs that they used to have to do back in the day compared to like your regular high grade from the Wish from Mercury series now. But it was super fun being able to look back. Definitely not the greatest kit in the world. Lots of stickers on this thing, but it would be kind of cool to take it and paint it up and make it look super cool and new. But yeah, cool kit, cool kit.
All right, that's it for team picks. Let's move on to Q&A. So this is the part of the video where I answer questions from you, the viewer. If you have a question you want answered, post it down below. I'll do my best to answer it next time. First up, Lawrence Tong. Hope you feel better soon, Nick. Got a quick question for you. I know pre-orders 50% of your allocated stock. Are the early birds the other 50%? Do I have a chance to grab an item if I missed out on the early bird? So it's a great question, and I kind of talked about this a second ago, but I'll go into further detail. So pre-orders and early birds are basically like the same thing. When we put something up for pre-order, it's usually because we don't expect it until a month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever it is. We know when it's supposed to release. We've been promised some from the manufacturer or from a distributor that hopefully has guarantees from the manufacturer. An early bird, on the other hand, is usually something that we know that our distributor has right now or is about to receive and about to ship to us. So an early bird's usually, we expect it in the next 1 to 4 weeks maybe, generally speaking, give or take. Pre-orders we expect to be sometime out in the future. So they're basically the same thing. In both cases, historically, we've always done about 50% of whatever our confirmed number is as pre-orders or early birds. We've been gradually shifting over the last few months to a slightly higher percentage as pre-orders or early birds as opposed to the stock left over for afterwards. And that's based on a couple things. One, a lot of our shipments don't come in half damaged. It's pretty rare. If we know a distributor is pretty good about how they ship things, we're generally willing to shift that ratio towards the early bird pre-order side a little bit. And that makes sure people can lock them in ahead of time. It makes logistics a little easier in some ways for us. Because we know they're committed and we can just start shipping them the second we're ready to start shipping them, and helps us, save shelf space, things like that. The other aspect to that is certain items we've noticed sell really well as pre-orders and then don't sell very well once they're on the shelf because people are just really excited about that item. They want to make sure they lock it in, and if they can't lock it in as a pre-order here, they're probably just going to lock it in as a pre-order somewhere else rather than wait for us to get them in stock. And so that's also kind of contributing to that. We're shifting towards allowing a little bit more for pre-order than for the restock day, if that makes sense. The ratio depends on the item, depends on the manufacturer or the distributor. It will vary quite a bit. We should almost always, pretty much always, have stock left over for restock day. But if we were to receive a lot of damage, the damage comes out of the restock day stock. We obviously fulfill our pre-orders and early birds before we put anything up for restock day. So with that in mind, if there's ever anything that we post for pre-order, early bird, stuff like that, you're going to want to jump on that as a pre-order or early bird if you have to have it or you have to get it from us. Just because there's no guarantees with anything, and that's your best chance to get it. A really good example is the MGEX that we had come in. I think they had gone up for early bird a couple weeks ago. They came in, we restocked them on, was it Tuesday? And the in-stock section sold out really fast. On the other hand, you had the better part of a day to place an early bird the day they went up for early birds, so you didn't have to be there refreshing and trying to order very quickly on the restock day. Okay, long answer, but a good and important question. So moving on to the next one, plastic germs. Question, what is Mecha Warehouse's next big move? More commercials, new dealers, or finally entering the share market with a Mecha Warehouse IPO? An IPO actually sounds kind of great, other than the fact that I don't want to share the profit, but capital's been a big challenge. So if that was less challenging to do, I would be totally up for that, or crowdfunding or something would be really cool to do, but not something we can really do right now. The biggest things coming up, other than like the AnyMech competition, the Northeast Mecha Modeling Expo and competition that we are planning for August, we're definitely planning on adding some more paint and tool lines and accessory lines as well. It feels like that's the next logical place to go, is helping people level up their builds and add more things to customize and do more with their builds than just building them. So that's probably the next big move, but it's really going to be a lot of little moves. Fun question, what is your guilty pleasure? And I'd say probably just about anything sweet or chocolate. I feel like I eat way more sweets and stuff than I really should. And now I'm just gonna be quiet about that because I feel guilty. Okay, next up, the Druth. How does one go about working at a place like this? So I think there's a careers link down in the description. If not, there is a careers page on the website. We generally post our positions up there. We do have a position listed for the warehouse right now. We decided to keep it up even though we're not technically looking right now. It's good to have that pool of candidates available when we are looking, because last time we really needed people, there weren't people applying. So if you ever want to work at Mecha Warehouse, especially if you're local and you wouldn't mind working in the warehouse, put an application in, and next time we need to expand the team, we'll definitely take a look. All right, and one more question, HH15, any update for the Motoroid Shin Getter? The ETA was April 2023. I think I just got word that that was about to ship soon, so that might be in one of these shipments coming in the next few weeks. I think it's still one. We have a process where Kate checks invoices for certain distributors before we give them the thumbs up to ship. I think we got that invoice sometime last week when we were both sick, and she's working on catching up on that stuff. But that should be here pretty soon. And I think that's it for questions. So if you have a question you want answered, post it down in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer it next time. Thank you for watching. See you next time.